All right, here we go. Back sporadically. Hopefully, get back to a regular schedule. Judge Dan is with us. Cofield, Legal Podcast. Justin Watkins with us. Somewhere down the road, we got to get our schedule all set. First of all right. Well, now I'm all thrown off here. You were before he popped on. You were commenting on my background, my basement here. This doesn't look like the Steamboat Springs house. I think you were playing all along. You said you moved there permanently. I think you were joshing us.
Well, I'm back and forth. I have a couple places, I like to bounce around. So, but
Are you really or not? I'm so confused.
we love Steamboat. We bought a place in Steamboat. That's where we
Okay.
live now. And but we have to go back and forth. I don't understand the concept for you, Steve. I mean, you look at you. Look at the basement there. By the way, it's National Puppy Day. I want to see pictures of your puppies, Steve Cofield.
No
I don't want to see
puppies.
cats. I want to see your
Yeah.
dogs. Show me the
I'm
pictures of your
sure
dogs.
I'm sure one of the cats is going to walk in here soon.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, we had before we get to the Tyreek Hill and Devontae Adams stuff and the Broncos and Russell Wilson and all that and a couple of legal stories. I have to ask about taking care of pets and the vet and all that stuff because I
Oh.
know you are a lunatic. And
Okay. So we had fun on the show about the floors, because remember we had the old dog, the old puppy that destroyed the floors, right?
uh-huh.
So then we put in the new hickory, the wild floors. So I went to New York and I come back and I go, honey, what's that? What is that? It's a spot. He, already they've been the floors have been in for like a month. And yes, the dog peed on the brand new hickory floors that, and I guess if you don't clean up a spot that quickly, yeah, it'll stain them. It'll ruin them. So now I've already replaced the old floors that the old dog ruined and put in new floors to replace those floors. And now there's already a spot that's, I don't know. What do you sand it off? What do you do? How do you fix that, Cofield?
I don't know. Ask the audience. I'm looking for advice from the audience on a bunch of fronts. So it's been an interesting month of stupid expenses. The dog peed on the wood and it already got friggin' stained.
Correct. Brand new hickory floors, and we didn't do just we did like the real deal. We didn't do like out of the box, like we did
Right,
straight
laminate.
wood.
No, it's real wood.
Yep, and they had to like come in and sand and finish the whole thing. And so this was it. This was supposed to be the one time in your lifetime you put in those big, wide plank hickory floors, and now the dog already ruined them. So
Why do you keep doing this?
I don't learn. I don't. I
Who
don't.
loves this dog so you love the dog. That's the problem. You in the end you like dogs.
Well, the new dog is mine. Yeah, the new
Right.
dog is the one that we went to Chicago to get. He's a special breed, and yes, he's gorgeous. He's a great dog. But yes, he actually did. He is the offender in this case. Uh, he's the guilty party on the illegal podcast this evening. So yeah, yeah, yeah,
Couldn't
Brady. Yeah, Brady. God, I wish I would have thought of that, Brady. You're so smart. I wish I would have taught my dog to go pee outside. Yeah, we're working on that.
sand them down, sand it down or replace them. He just put them in,
I know.
replace
I
them.
just literally put them in. They're brand
Just
new.
one plank and a hickory floor, I'm sure is really easy to replace.
Well, I mean, I have. So we did keep. Well, actually, because some of them I actually, put in the smoker because they're real wood. So actually, some of them I have smoked meat with.
Smoked you, and now your dog ruined it. So now you're short on planks.
And
Oop.
so, but I do have some planks out in the garage. I guess they could, like swap out. But like, how much is
There's
that going to
no
cost, dude? Like a
exactly.
thousand bucks, fifteen
There's
hundred
no way
bucks?
that's easy.
I don't know, man.
um, yeah, you know what? Cats are fine, but man, we got an old lady cat, and she's become just a giant pain in the ass. And we just you go to the vet, and they just start taking you down the path, and you
Hmm.
can't stop. You know what I mean? Like, hey, come in. We'll do this. All right, that's 250. Yeah, well, no, that didn't do it. Now we need more. And like, basically, we just spent $1,000 on one of the cats.
Ooh,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, that's a cat,
And
dude. You
no,
don't do that. You don't drop that type of coin on a
well,
cat.
I I wouldn't, and I was hinting all along. She's old. Her quality of life is not great. Maybe it's time. But I did it very gently, And obviously we didn't put the cat down. And now we come to the conclusion of 3 trips, and they're like, yeah, she's old. Cats get kind of crazy. I'm like, yeah, I already knew that. I didn't need to spend $1,000 for you to tell me that cats are temperamental and kind of weird.
So we had a guy at the station who his brother was moving to Australia, right? And they had 2 really old cats, like ancient cats, and it was going to be like 3 or 4 grand. But he said, Scotty, you gotta help me. Will you bring the cats to the airport? This, that, or the other. And he's telling me that these cats are going to be about $3,000 or $4,000 to ship to Australia.
Right.
And I said, dude, do your brother a favor, because he's like, well, my sister-in-law, she'll be heartbroken if the cats don't make it. I said, the cats are 14 years old. Okay. They may not survive the trip anyway. Just do your brother a favor, save the kid 4 grand. Just let him go. Just let him go in the yard, right? Just let him go and just say, oh, well, they got out. I'm sorry. He could have done his brother a big solid there. And, but he didn't have the guts.
And I guarantee we have pet owners watching, and they're like, that is so horrible. If you can't take care of them, you don't deserve to have a pet. Like we've taken care of this. Kirk says, sir, your cat has a stomach bug. Okay, she's old. Time to put her down. But there does come a point where it's like the pet's quality of life is not great. Like, are you keeping the cat around for you or for the cat or dog? And believe me, I learned from a tough old lady, my mother. Not that she was mean, but there were a couple times, like as kids, we had a cat. It wasn't working out. I don't have to explain why it just wasn't working out. And like the cat just went gone. It went. So
went to the farm.
She's Italian. It went for an Italian car ride, and we joked about it. And I hope the cat found a better place. But
I've actually never heard that term, the Italian car ride.
Well,
I've never heard that, but I hope that's something pleasant.
Well, no, it's not. So, you saw the movie Casino?
Yes.
Not that my mother took out, the cat to a cornfield and dug a ditch, and then, or had the cat dig a ditch and then
beat him with a shovel.
Right, beat him with a shovel.
Buried him alive. Yeah.
That didn't happen, but
Right.
I feel bad. I don't know. Chris loves cats. I like cats too, but let's see. How would I feel like Cofield would handle old family members like he does the old cat. Quality of life isn't great. Just put it down, sir. She has an ear infection. Well, I don't know.
So actually, we had a mentor of mine. He actually just passed away 6 months ago, but his name was Dick Lamb. He was the former governor of the state of Colorado, and he actually said, "You have a duty to die. You old people with your machines and your iron lungs, like
you have a duty to die."
Look it up. Look it up. Look up Dick Lamb, duty to die. He actually said, us humans, not cats, humans, stop it with artificial this and that. Like, you have a duty to die. And he was also the same guy on the sports tilt. Actually, how we got elected was in 1976, the Olympics were slated to go to, I don't know, Aspen or Vail or something. And he said, that's a catastrophe. Financially, it's horrific. It's bad for us. And so as a legislator, he got that canceled, and then he became a governor, and they called him, I think they said Governor Gloom. Yeah, because he said, we have a duty to die. Quit hanging on, quit dragging down the rest of us, the economy, while you get your meds and, your all your medical life-saving measures there. Just die off. So that's what he was famous for.
And how did he die, or is he still alive?
No, he just passed away. I don't know, maybe like 6 months ago.
Did they pull a plug immediately and just like, hey, this is what you wanted, so we're not in your existence anymore? So, and how did?
I think he died
away
fairly natural causes.
Audio. So they didn't get to pull the plug. That would
be no. I don't think he went kicking and screaming. I think he just passed away. I think.
Okay. Hey, you know what? If you put your money where your mouth is, then I'm all about it.
Yep.
Let's do it. All right. So I feel like we barely got into the top. The NFL has been crazy. Like, we can barely get to the hottest topic of the day before another story comes down a day later. So like I feel like on Vegas Radio, we're trying to play catch up on all the moves, and I haven't talked to you in a month or so or 3 weeks, and we never got to talk about Russell Wilson and I mean, every team in the AFC West had some blockbuster move. The the Chargers had Khalil Mack and J.C. Jackson, and you guys in Denver get Russell Wilson. The Raiders pay a bunch of money to people and also get Devontae Adams, and then we see Tyreek Hill go bye-bye from Kansas City. It's all fascinating, very fascinating. First, give me your what was your take on Russell Wilson? How fired up were people? What are the expectations now?
Well, so here's the funny thing, because I hate to say it, but I'm the voice of reason, right? On the Denver radio, and all these nut jobs, even my own teammates, um, were talking about Aaron Rodgers, right? So what happened was Aaron Rodgers came out and said, "Oh, I'm going back to Green Bay." So for like 2 hours, it was like a funeral. It was literally, we're talking about pets dying. It was like somebody shot your dog. Like, oh my God, Aaron Rodgers isn't coming to Denver. Like the hosts on my station, they were just despondent. They were just dead. And then out of nowhere,
Which,
here,
by the way, can I jump in? You do understand the difference between your market, which one difference is your radio stations do really well and make money. But that aside, and maybe
right?
maybe this is the key difference between. I think we have different cities though, but you do understand in Denver, you sound like one of the outliers. Marilat, your boy Marilat, I think is like you, and will push back on the Broncos. It sound and Kreckman does that too, and I think Chad does that too, Anders. But it sounds like you just said, a lot of folks were all depressed. You realize that Vegas radio, we have this like bizarro split between fans and media people who are juicing with the organization, and then people who are like completely on the opposite side, who are borderline miserable when a move like Devontae Adams goes down. This is a strange market for the NFL because of so many transplants here, and the team is new to the market.
Well, I don't even know what to make of the you know Vegas Raiders situation, because you still don't really have a quarterback to compete, right? Because every year it's like, oh well, we have Derek Carr, we don't want him, but I guess he's going to be our quarterback this year. And so every other team in the division now has a monster quarterback, and you guys still have Derek Carr. But then you're like, well, okay, what we're going all in. We're pushing our chips in on everything else. So I think you guys think, I mean, my guess would be you guys will be last in the division, but you're still like pushing your chips in like you're a real team. So I don't know. I mean, what are you guys doing out there?
Well, when you say you guys, it's not me.
I
I
know
was
you hate it when I do that, Cofield, but
no
that's
no
what
no
we
no
do.
no, I get it. Um, like I said, it's very split here, and on our show, I I know I joke about this all the time. I'm actually the glass overflowing guy because I like what the Raiders did. I don't love the Adams deal and the price and all that, but I like what they did, and I don't think you just give up because the other teams add players. But I do think it's. Does Denver actually think it's the favorite to win the division now?
Well, here's the funny thing was,
Especially with Tyreek Hill today.
well, so here's the deal. So I actually had Seren Petro, who's a friend of this show, your show, and this
We all
podcast,
we all booked him
right?
apparently.
And so I had him on last week, and I still was of the mind, although since then they've been a little bit more aggressive, and adding some better players. But I said, even with Russell Wilson, they still have some work to do on the roster in Denver. And Seren, we booked him to say, hey, I mean, what was the reaction in Kansas City? Like the minute that that move went down, what'd you think? And he thinks they're right there. And that was before today, before Kansas City lost Tyreek Hill. Yeah, they said, oh God, no, Denver should be an immediate favorite to compete for the AFC West and maybe a Super Bowl and this and that. And I was like pumping the brakes, like, you understand, they were still a bad football team last year, right? Last in the division, and adding Russell Wilson really, really helps. But that doesn't cure all of your ills, right? You still have deficiencies that you really need to, shore up. And by the way, you just gave up a bunch of premium draft picks that you're not going to be able to replace for a little bit. So I've been teaching a little bit of patience, so to speak. But no, I guess right now they're going all in, especially now with I don't it's I've always said it's hard, especially because we're actually dealing with the same thing with the Avs and Nuggets. Like the windows to win championships are so small, right? Like you never know. And so I'm sure the Chiefs have been pushing their chips in, like trying to win as many titles as they can, but they just kept keep stubbing their toes, right? Like, so they're not winning. They won one, and that's it. And so now, yeah, I mean, listen, losing Tyreek Hill when you have a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes is not the end of the world, but
Right.
they seem to be taking a couple steps back.
I don't think they will, but I also got to see what they do the next month and a half between free agency and the middle class of free agency and the draft. I think they'll be fine. I'll have to check the numbers. I saw numbers this morning for for betting, and the Chiefs were still the favorite to win the division. If anyone else has seen numbers since, the update I saw was from like 9 hours ago, so that would be well after the Tyreek Hill deal. I think they'll be fine. I think the division is going to be really tight and really competitive. Like there's no chance that the Chiefs are going to win. They're going 13-4. Everyone may be bunched between 10-7, 9-8, 11-6, but I'm not writing off the Chiefs. And I think there's a couple of things that you just mentioned that are interesting. Lots of things. But one of them is you have a window, unless you're the Rams, right? The Rams keep pushing all their chips in and spending big dollars on 5 or 6 guys, and they won a Super Bowl. But the window with that quarterback at the beginning of his career, if he's good right away, is that 4-year window, 5-year window, 4-year window, where you can spend, like the Chargers are, exorbitantly on J.C. Jackson and Khalil Mack and, Mike Williams as a second receiver at whatever, $17 million a year. But you really need to win the Super Bowls during that time, because after that, then things change. Then you have to have awesome personnel judgment, and your quarterback basically does have to work with, like Brady did, decent running backs and decent receivers, and especially what Brady did. Like outside of Randy Moss, Edelman, I think Edelman anywhere else would have been a journeyman and would have been like a 40 catch guy. So I think Edelman's even an example of a guy that Brady made awesome. Brady made very good. But Gronk and Randy Moss obviously are all-timers and Hall of Famers. But beyond that, Brady played with basically number 3 receivers and made it work. And that's what, unless you draft them, if you draft receivers and they're cheap at the beginning, you may get like a Bengals situation where they've stepped in it here and their receiver is freaking awesome, Jamar Chase, and he's cheap. But yeah, the Chiefs are now in the zone where Pat Mahomes is going to make money. That means they're going to have to piece it together at running back, and they're going to have a lot of number 3 and number 2 receivers. And I still believe he'll make them awesome and he'll make it work. Now, none of them are going to be Tyreek Hill in terms of game breaking, but this is the way it works. If you want to, pay your quarterback $35 to $50 million, then he doesn't get a bunch of number 1 guys at receiver anymore.
Well, yeah, particularly with the Patriots is the thing, right? Because we all hated watching the Patriots win all that time, right? Like we all hated it, and we hated also, by the way, with Edelman and Welker and all that stuff, the dinking and dunking. We hated it, right? We hated watching it. But if you look at, go back and look. The year they had Randy Moss, they didn't win, right? So if you look at the talent that the Patriots ever had around Tom Brady, they never had a ton of like blockbuster talent. So I don't like it, but Tom Brady just has to get credit for being as great as he was. And then there's quarterbacks like we had around here, Peyton Manning, that elevate guys and just make them better, right? He just makes them all better.
Right.
He made a lot of millionaires out of guys like Austin Collie or Pierre Garcon, right? Guys like that have no business making a ton of money.
I think Demaryius Thomas was awesome. I think, as we found out, Eric Decker was made by Peyton Manning.
Yes.
That's a good example. And Aaron Rodgers had a lot of guys like that over the years. Once they were done with their 6 years with Aaron Rodgers, they went elsewhere, and you're like, oh my God, this guy's a 40 catch guy and he's a number 4 receiver. And I think that's what's going to happen with the Chiefs. But I do believe the Chiefs talent evaluation department is in the top 10 in the league. And I think they'll find receivers for cheap in the draft who will be very good on their own, and then Mahomes will get them to another level. By the way, the odds in the AFC West right now, Chiefs are still the favorite. They're plus 125. The Broncos are the second choice at 2-1. I don't like that.
Over teams like the Bengals and the Bills.
This is
AFC West. Okay.
125 Chiefs, 2-1 Broncos, Chargers 4-1, Raiders 7-1.
Yeah, unfortunately, like I said, for the Raiders, where are you guys at? Right? And how is I've been meaning to ask you. How is McDaniel's act playing out there in Vegas right now?
It's barely the act is barely opened. We have no idea.
Yeah.
We have no idea. All right. After Andy Reid, who's the second best head coach in the division?
Well, it's not Nathaniel Hackett, right? Because
I don't believe that. I
he's
don't
done
believe that
nothing.
he is.
And so, okay, you have Staley, who gave one impressive speech that made us all like clap, but body of work, like.
Okay, tell me who do you think is the second best coach in the division?
Well, there's no second best coach in the division right now, right?
Okay,
Like
if you're
you have
on
1A and the rest.
on speculation, who's going to be the second best coach in the division?
Staley, I would say.
Okay.
I mean, I believe that. So we have a
Chat room. Who's going to be the second best? Who's the second best coach in the division behind Andy Reid? Is it Staley? Is it Hackett or is it McDaniels?
So we have a funny thing here because Hackett, by the way, is just crazy enthusiastic, right? Like happy all the time, like chronically happy, right? Just like so excited. And he was like, I can't believe we have Russell Wilson. I can't believe it. Oh my God. They told me we're getting Russell Wilson. I'm like, oh my God, pinch me, And then actually Russell Wilson during his press conference said, yeah, man, we're going to come to work every day. Now, some of us aren't going to be as excited as Coach Hackett is every day, but we're still going to work hard, that type thing. So I have no idea. I mean, if Nathaniel Hackett's going to be a great coach, Staley seems to be good. McDaniels, I'm still not buying into it. I don't like that answer, and we talked about it on this podcast where he gave that one answer was like, well, I was a jerk, I was a moron, but I didn't know any better when I was 38 years old or whatever he was, 35 years old.
He was like 32, but
33, whatever he was. Yeah. Dude, you don't need to know. I mean, come on, dude. That's silly. Like he knew better. He was a jerk, and that's the way he conducted himself. I'm telling you, right now we have Tyler Columbus is a former offensive lineman that played under Josh McDaniels. He would stab him in a knife fight right now. Like he would literally fight him. There is nothing you could say to convince him about anything redeeming about Josh McDaniels ever, because he just hates the guy. Like he played for him and just says he's a terrible, scummy human being. So, yeah, I mean, X's and O's wise, I guess he's, should be. I mean, all the pieces are there to say his second act will be better, right? Yeah. So we'll have to see.
We had Ryan Harris on, played for the Broncos and is on what, Altitude, sports radio, Kreckman station. And when we brought up Josh McDaniels to Ryan Harris, he also crushed him. He crushed him.
Yeah. So, and he wasn't. I don't think he played for him because Ryan was here and left and came back.
No, Harris did. He played for him.
Oh, he did. He did play for him. Okay.
Yeah, and he was like, I got to say it before I believe he changed.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, dude, human decency. How old do you have to be to learn human decency, Cofield? Like how old? Well, I mean, what age?
I mean, do I think you can mature and become better at your job and
but
better
humanly
leader?
Decent, just not be that type of bad person.
I don't know I don't know all the stories that would say he's a horrible human being. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I'm telling you, they're all here. Like I mean, that's just the way he operated. He said it at his press conference in front of you guys in the media. He just said, yes, that's the way I was, but I was young and I just didn't know any better. Dude, that was obviously his philosophy. That was obviously what he believed that was the best way to accomplish things.
Well,
and now I guess he's saying, well, I guess I'm mature now.
His philosophy was weaned from who? From what? Belichick.
Right.
And that has been the story with a lot of Belichick tree guys, that they don't have great social skills and it doesn't work out. And I'm hoping in this case he was able to see his mistakes and realize that everyone doesn't have the equity of Belichick, and you don't have to coach like Belichick. Who was you know what? I was just reading J.C. Jackson was kind of subtly saying he was complimenting Staley about being a player's coach, and you can kind of tell from his positive comments he's like, Belichick's a pain in the balls. I mean, I think he's also got a little residual hangover of kind of being dissed by the Patriots because they didn't even really try to bring him back. I think McDaniels has the potential to be the second best coach in the division. I don't like that he's going to be calling plays. I don't know enough about another Nepo hire in Lombardi, right? Mike Lombardi's kid is the OC.
Mhm.
So I don't know if I like, kind of QB coach, assistant OC to the head coach who's the OC. I don't know if I like that. I like their defensive coordinator. I think it's a little bit dangerous, even though he's got 10 years under his belt since Denver. I think it's a little bit dangerous to say, you know what? I didn't know what I was doing. My personal skills weren't great. He hasn't
Well,
said.
how were
Let
his
me finish.
personal
Let me finish for a
skills?
second. That maybe he overextended himself in Denver, trying to fill every single role, and then he comes to the Raiders and he's like, "I'm going to be the OC as well." Like, bro, delegate, delegate. Don't get overwhelmed. Delegate.
Well, first off, I would tell you because I was here, he didn't like feel like he had to delegate every role. Like he took it. Like he fired people and like over, he gobbled up every little thing of power he could. And two, how many years ago was it that he just screwed over the Colts? Right? Like people left their jobs, like, like their families were moving and all that stuff. Like that was like what, 4 years ago? Something like that. I mean,
Yeah.
come on, man.
Okay. This is a good comment. I think it's wrong. Um, in some ways, coaches don't have to be your friend. I do believe one, you have to be an authority figure. You got to command respect. Maybe there's a little bit of fear, but that you don't have to be an asshole. And I think you're seeing a wave across sports that these screaming, unapproachable a-holes intimidating their athletes, their players, that is becoming a thing of the past. Slowly but surely, you're seeing around college football, the NFL, college basketball. Some of the old guys are having trouble getting jobs now, on second and third chances, and they're going with and especially around the NFL. Look at some of the coaches who are hired. They seem to be players, coaches, kind of nerdy, not the kind of guy that you would see screaming and yelling at his players. Am I wrong on this? Is it just like, are we in a cycle right now, or are we actually moving in a positive direction where
Well, I got
you
to
can
tell
actually
you,
you can be a leader and not freaking scream and yell and be condescending and belittle your athletes?
well, I'm not sure in college football if that's the way it's going or not. Because Nick Saban's still there, and I'm sure Urban Meyer will have a job. We just saw a big article about how what a disaster Urban Meyer was, but because he was used to operating under a certain set of rules in college that just simply didn't fly um, in the NFL. So I'm not sure in college if it goes that way or not. I mean, we just had Vic Fangio and Pat Shermer here for 3-4 years, um, and I'm telling you, man, like the media, they were the old dons. Like, oh my god, yeah, everybody just kissed their ring, when they came in the room. So I was just like, really? Like these guys, like they are about as incompetent as it gets, and they're still cycling through, getting jobs. Like Pat Shermer, horrifically bad offensively, and he could not get fired here. He just could not get fired. There was nothing that could happen where he would be held accountable. The same thing with, we talked about it, the special teams coach that you guys could not wait to hire, right? Just horrific. Like, dude should not be employed, and boom, he's got a job. Got a job within what, 5 minutes?
Well,
You know,
there is the old boy network in football.
yeah.
So
So I don't know, man. Yeah, you would like to think, times are changing. And generally, yeah, I mean, guys do better on their second turn, and Josh McDaniels has been very selective about which job he would take. And apparently, everything I've heard is he loves Derek Carr, right? Like he came to Denver, and we had Jay Cutler. Jay Cutler was having a lot of success, and he just walked through the door. And the way the story goes is he sat him down, him and his agent, and said, by the way, here's how great I am. Here's my track record,
okay,
Josh McDaniels. I'm great, and here's why you suck. You suck. And then just reamed him, like chewed him a new you know what. And then Cutler was like, okay, bye.
right.
you know. And then neither one of them ever recovered, really. We had Kyle Orton after that, and Tim Tebow. And then McDaniels was fired, and then Jay Cutler went to Chicago and had limited success, and his career was basically over too. So I don't know, man.
I kind of like this comment. Good job, Kirk. Every coach should be sent to a slow restaurant and see how they interact with the staff. You can tell a lot about someone.
Yeah.
Restaurants are a good testing ground for a lot of behaviors.
Yeah. No, I mean it's well we you know we remember we had the joke when Watkins was going to buy the pizza ranch or whatever, like what role would Cofield have? Like Cofield was like, I'll be the host, and what would Adam Hill be? What would our various jobs be at the restaurant? Um, but yeah, I mean it's
I would be whatever the role is. Is it the expediter who's back in the kitchen trying to get all the food out?
yeah, the sous
Kind
chef
of.
or whatever. Yeah,
No. I mean the go between
yeah,
with the chefs and the servers.
yeah, at the window. Yeah, you're like throwing this garnish on and getting everything out. Yeah,
Sure, it would be a nightmare. It would not be a pleasant experience. But by the way, I'm not saying that with when I talk about coaches being nicer and professional and not condescending, I'm not saying that I'm any of that. So
yeah. No, I mean,
like
yeah, yeah. I mean, you're
unfortunately I am old guard and I need to change or I'm going to get fired soon. So
well. And
uh,
by the way, speaking of
and it's not.
restaurants,
And the other thing, it's not that easy to change. Some guys are just incapable of freaking change. There are old coaches who like, hey, they're fire and brimstone guys and they like to scream at everyone and demean and that's how it works. Motivate them. Like maybe it doesn't. And by the way, it doesn't mean that athletes now are soft. It just means that you're immature and incapable of operating with any intelligence. So you're the one who has the problem, coach. Screaming and yelling, coach.
yeah. I mean, if you think that's going to work for you. Um, But by the way, I thought that was funny because we were all texting back and forth. We had like a little group text this past weekend. First off, yes, I found the best restaurant pretty much on the face of the planet. It is in Steamboat, so you guys have to go and order that stuff. But you guys were funny. You were texting about the NCAA tournament, and it was right on cue because you guys were saying, "Well, yeah, good luck. You can be in Colorado and you'll walk into the, any bar or sports bar, and the game might be on, but it'll have some bad alternative music over it. You won't have sound." And I was literally at that place right then, right there, and I just took a little video and I sent it to you, right?
Well, to fill in the people who aren't on the text chain, I was at a bar in Las Vegas and we walked in and all four games were up. There's four games going on at a time. I think I was on St. Patty's night. All four games are on, and then the Knights came on, and they took like 8 of the 20 TVs and switched it to the Knights with the sound, and then only 2 games were available on the rest of the TVs in the NCAA tournament, and I was like, "What is going on here?" But here's the thing: I didn't complain because I don't know who their clientele is.
Hmm.
In Vegas, the people that rule who make the bar's money are the players. So I don't know if there could be like 8 regulars there who want the VGK game on the sound. So I don't have any say. All I'm doing is getting freaking green beer. They could tell me to shut the fuck up and leave. But
Don't they know who you are?
no, I
You're
would.
Steve Cofield, man.
First of all, if I mentioned my name, they wouldn't know who I am, and even if they did, I would never flex my muscle to
Yeah.
bars here are totally different. I would never go in and be like, "Hey, get my game. What are you guys stupid?" And the Knights are still big here, even though they're in the midst of this freaking tumble flop, dump out of the playoffs. It's been
Well, by
ridiculous.
the way, just real quick as a side note, I was told that Flurry is a number 2, like a throw in, like in mini. Like, so I talked to my guy in Minneapolis today. He goes, "Yeah, no, he's a nice he's a nice 2." And I said, "What do you mean 2? Like you don't make that trade. He's your guy." He goes, "No, oh God, no, no, no. We made that move as a luxury, and if
Yeah,
the number 1 guy falls off, then
he's
we'll put
probably
him in."
right. No, the way Fleury's played this year, he is a 2. If they need him, then at least they have. I would call him a 1B, versus a 1A. So, and
Yikes.
if so much hadn't gone down between him and the Knights, mostly I believe on the side of Fleury, kind of being a jackass, and they could have reunited, but there's too much bad blood between, on both sides, so they couldn't do it. So,
Yeah.
and in the end, the goaltending might not even matter with the Knights because they simply can't score. A lot of their best offensively talented players are out and maybe out for the season. So that's funny. Scott's like, I'm going to the game tomorrow. Hope they score. I mean, it's been that bad. So now that said, this is a wake up call for VGK fans. Like the run you had to start the franchise was otherworldly. It's like,
It's
don't
embarrassing.
don't take it for granted. There are years where you're beat to shit and you never get healthy and fall way under expectations. By the way, their point total has already come in. Their over under point total was 106.5. So that's done.
Yeah.
Didn't even sniff it.
Yeah. Well, and by the way, I continue to be Mr. Hockey here in this town because there was
Your
another.
hockey.
There was another, legal happening with the Colorado Avalanche and the Denver Nuggets. And where does Denver go? So I was up in Steamboat, plopping around like, Dan, what happened? What happened? And then, unfortunately, none of it was good for Avs or Nuggets fans. So it was just more bad news. And then, so I actually had to, pick up the phone, reach out to somebody, within play there. And they were like, oh yeah, Dan, we know who you are and you're doing a good job on the story. But, so yes, my reign as the hockey guy in Denver continues intact, Cofield. If you're ever worried about that, don't worry.
So many hardcore hockey people in Denver. I cut you off. I think you were going to mention a restaurant you went to. Was that place? Was it Brick or something?
Oh, Brick. Yeah, Brick. So, me, I'm a food guy, right? So, I posted some, even from when I was in New York, I went to the place Gallagher's with the meat hanging where it dry ages in
You love
the,
that, huh?
not as much as I love Brick, actually.
Okay.
So
You've never been to Gallagher's at New York, New York? Not that it's the exact same thing, but I think they still have one there.
no, I was told that yes, they have one in Las Vegas. That's very good. So no, I'd never been, but of course I walk by on the street and I see meat hanging there.
Meat
I'm going,
hanging, right.
right. So the funny story with that one is, I texted my partner at the law firm, Jacobs and Long, 303 Law 2020. I said, hey, can I put one meal on the company card? And he's like, yeah, absolutely, go ahead. So I went into Gallagher's because I saw this meat hanging there, this, that, and the other. And I'm telling you, uh, the braised short rib at Brick in Steamboat. I or I came up with a joke. I said the cheeses have their own 12-step program at this joint, like because they're that addicting, right? Like
Wow.
the ravioli, the cheese and the ravioli. This place is amazing. Like I've never been, and it's on site, where we live now, and it's just like we're gonna go broke. The first time we went there, I told my wife, I said, we're gonna go broke. We can't afford to live here. We're gonna be coming here all the time. No, we're dead. Um, so yeah, it's
Is it a pizza place by trade?
well, yeah. So it's only open about 4 hours a day, but it's a brick oven. It's a higher end, right? Like so, it's a fancier one, but it's one of those brick oven pizza places. But here's how you know the pizza's really good. My teenager, who will only eat cheese pizza, right? Like she won't eat nothing else. She ate 4 slices of the cheese pizza. That must mean it's pretty good because she's a brat and she won't eat anything.
Goddamn
And
kids.
so she ate it.
All right.
And so, no, I
Pictures look
mean,
good, and you were going crazy about the short rib, so I was like, "Yeah, it looks good."
yeah,
Will
but
it draw anyone to Steamboat Springs? I know it's a big tourist town. From out of town, how far away is it from Denver?
three
That's what's
hours.
throwing me off.
Well, it's 3 hours to get there, and then you just have to be careful timing when you get back because if don't time it right, then you're in the middle of ski traffic, and then it takes 3.5 or
Oh boy.
4. But yeah, it's 3 hours, and you can fly into there actually too if you wanted to. Big time traveler like you, Cofield, you probably just fly direct, right? Like you wouldn't be like us. We had to, you know, drive 3 hours in. You would probably just fly in directly.
How much was Gallagher's in New York?
Um, God, man, by the time everything, it was well over $100. Just I was just there by myself. I
Oh, you
just
went by yourself.
yeah, no, I was just walking around.
I love it.
I was there for that conference, and I just said, yeah,
Can I put
yeah. So
just my meal on the company card? Just my
yeah,
meal.
no, he was good. He was good about it.
Damn.
He's like, yeah, no, do what you got to do. And so yeah, no, it was
So
it
did
was
you on you mentioned earlier about the TV beef in Denver. You clearly noticed the inside joke that I put on your tweet there about me saying that that's not going to happen. They're not going to come to any sort of agreement, and if they do, I'll give you $1,000 to your favorite charity.
yeah. Although I was giving, all right. So we have a guy here in town that he's a little wacky. And so he's an insider, so to speak, and he just was dead set on saying, that Deshaun Watson is not going to the Cleveland Browns. It's simply not going to happen.
Yes.
And some guy was giving him crap. He's like, "Well, I'm hearing he is," and he goes, "Well, I'll give you $1,000 to your charity of choice. I'm the only guy in town that'll do that." And you know, so well, okay, well, you're wrong because he
Well,
did go to
you
the
were
Browns.
wrong. So now what?
And so he claims he's going to pay that bet off. But here's the funny thing: I actually pay. Live on the air. I offered $1,000 without hesitating for him and Marilat to fight in like a celebrity boxing match.
You did actually, yeah. That's Benjamin Albright and then your guy Marilat who have been going at it. I'll tell you what, for Vegas folks, like we've got some bloggers who I think have a really interesting following. This guy Albright has like his following is kind of cultish. Like
Yeah.
it almost seems like he's got a network of minions who have set up burner accounts because there are like you'll go when there's like a big beef, there'll be like a good 25 comments that are almost kind of like scary. Not scary like I'm afraid of the commenter, but like the loyalty they show to him. I'm like, what is going we're talking about the NFL and arguing sports. Like, what is with them? What's with some of these people?
Well, and the funny thing is though, like, so he has some sort of little, I don't know, I don't want to be rude, but like some sort of like narcissistic trait where he can't stop either, right? Like he can't help himself. So he'll be sitting there dealing with like a troll, and the troll will he'll go, "All right, stop bugging me. I'm going to block you." Blah blah blah. But he cannot not have the last word. So they
Right.
sit
Yep.
there. You'll look at this you know thread, and you go, "Ben, stop! Like, what are you doing? What are you talking about? Like, just leave the kid alone. Like just." Dude, he's beneath you. Like, stop.
Yeah.
Like, but you
Stop punching down.
yeah, stop punching down. But you can tell there's something up here.
He's got screws loose, and then there are people out there. This is what they do on social media. If they can get someone going and drag them along, like they're just trolling you, dude. You engage them, with them for 3-4 hours, and day after day after day. It's exactly what they wanted.
But here's the funny thing, because you and I, we're kind of joking because here's what his mo is. He's wrong about something. Like he guesses about a bunch of stuff that should be obvious, right? Like he guesses, and if he's right, he's right. If not, then then his mo is, well, we talked about that on the show last week. Oh, I reported that last week, and it's like,
Mm-hmm.
wait a minute, no, you didn't. But then, so I was actually killing my own, everybody in the media because all of a sudden everybody was pretending that they knew about Russell Wilson coming here, right? Like I was saying at the beginning of the podcast, there was a freaking funeral when the news Aaron Rodgers broke. And then so we were all just completely taken off guard when Russell Wilson, sorry, I don't know if you can hear the dog crying. Dog's crying over there. But Russell Wilson, all of a sudden, it's a bombshell, right? Bombshell. Russell Wilson's coming to Denver. Nobody knew about it.
Nobody knew about it.
Nobody
Yep.
knew. But then all of a sudden, after a few hours, it was like more people were doing that. Like, well, we kind of
Yep.
knew.
Yeah.
We kind of knew.
Oh,
I heard this. I heard
we have
that.
the same thing in Vegas. People throw out, generalities so that they can go. Big news is on the way. You got to go get the dog.
Yeah, I'm just gonna let him out real quick.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
We have people who are watching from Vegas right now. We have kind of media folks that will throw out something big is happening. Just got off the phone. Big name player just about to sign. And then when nothing happens, it's like, well, I don't control the pace with which it happens. I don't control the timing of the news. Like you were guessing.
Things change.
That's what it was. Things changed with Watson. It was, well, the guaranteed money. I mean, yeah, but you're an insider, fucker. You're supposed to know that they're going to go they're going to go to that level. That's the next step. You can't just go, well, I mean, that's crazy. No one saw that coming. No, you didn't know what was going on. Truly, just like with the Raiders, we've had 2 moves now, right? You know what I'll say? There is one blogger that I saw for the last couple of weeks, a Raiders blogger who said, "Do not worry that Adams is franchise. He's still coming."
Really?
For weeks, it said that for weeks. Meanwhile, we've got other people who have said Stephon Gilmore to the Raiders has been close for 9 goddamn days, and they don't know what they're talking about. No one here knew about Chandler Jones. That was out of left field. And as I said, aside from the one blogger, one tweeter, no one knew about Devontae Adams. So, in a way, I kind of respect that. I like if that's the way the Raiders are going to run, where they don't have leaks. You know,
Well, and actually,
they don't have
Denver's doing a great
sources
job
to
here
this guy
too.
or that guy.
Yeah.
You know what? Don't deal with the media. Don't deal with fans. Don't deal with insiders. Make your moves when they happen. They happen.
Yeah, George Payton, who's the new Broncos GM, dude, he's a vault. Like we don't hear nothing out of him. Benjamin Albright aside, I guess, we hear nothing out of anything he
Oh,
does.
that's right. Actually, with Albright, I was talking to. We should stop mentioning this guy. But anyway, yeah, talking to someone, whoever uh, Albright's top source was, apparently has now been shut out by, maybe not trusted by Peyton, because I think he finally suspected what was going on, so he's like, not doing it, not doing it. Eventually those sources, the snitches, get smoked out. So I got to ask you a couple legal questions first.
Mhm.
Well, actually, not even so much legal, but do you think it's insulting that Deshaun Watson, while facing 22 allegations, 22 civil suits, 22 civil cases possibly, just got $230 million guaranteed?
Well, that was the perplexing thing to me was the new deal, right? Like the dude sat out, didn't do anything all year, and now he's getting a guaranteed deal. Like it's okay. Well, he's going to get traded. Okay. And what we talked about on the show was on my show was the reason. So for him to and I'm we've talked about this on your podcast. A grand jury can indict a ham sandwich, right? Like that's the famous quote. And so I don't know what the prosecutors' motivations were out there, but they that was a very clear signal that they weren't interested in moving forward with any criminal things. And so if you go through the ladder, the rungs of burdens legally, he just cleared the lowest one you can possibly get, probable cause, right? He just beat that. So then I mean, this isn't necessarily true, but you would think, okay, well, if he just beat that, he's probably not going to have that hard of a time with the civil standard, which is 50-50, right? Just, can you get the scale just slightly, go in your favor? So he had all the leverage, 100% of the leverage in his favor. The second he beat that grand jury indictment. So I wasn't surprised that things happened. I was very shocked that all of a sudden he just got a new deal. Like he had signed his new deal that he was then reneging on with the Texans, and then now it's like, oh, okay, you sat out a year, you didn't play football, and you have this black mark on your entire brand and reputation. Oh, well, then we're just going to give you $250 million guaranteed. Like what? Like what? Okay, weird.
If the NFL then tries to hand down a 4 or 6 game suspension, if I don't know if Rusty Harden would handle this, but whatever. If if you were repping Deshaun Watson, would you then go to the NFLPA and go, "What do you mean a 4 or 6 game suspension? He just sat out the whole year, even
Right.
though it wasn't officially named a suspension. That's it. He's not sitting out 4 to 6 games. We need to fight this."
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think Mike Florio from ProFootballTalk.com actually put out, an article on that saying, hey, they better, be tread lightly as far as what they're going to do because yes, now while he still got paid, they refused to pay him and they refused to trade him. So he lost a year of his career. He lost a year of productivity. Listen, I'm not saying I weep for the guy, but that's the reality of it. So if he's not going to face any criminal charges, if it looks like he is now able to settle these civil charges, yeah, I mean the perception is going to be we settle those on the cheap as a nuisance, right? Like it was just a nuisance. We cleared the bar. There was no criminal wrongdoing, and we just took care of it. But I'm innocent. I'm scot clean. Then I would expect him to possibly, face the bare minimum. But again, that's why they structured the deal that way, right? Like $1
Do you
million
have a
bucks.
problem? Do you have a problem there? Amber Wilson is doing a lot of ESPN Radio National. She's actually an attorney out of Miami, and I've heard her in back-to-back shows mention how insulting it was that they structured the deal for $1 million salary this year just in case he got suspended.
Well, I don't know that we're done with that yet, but I mean, we've seen the league. We actually see it a little bit more in the NBA than we do in the NFL. But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the league said, "No, we see what you're doing. You need to structure this deal appropriately, and so we're not going to
That's
approve that."
interesting because Brady got away with this when he had to serve his suspension.
Hmm.
That year, the salary was extremely low because he knew.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean it's very clever. I mean, I guess if you can get away with it, do it, right?
Let's see on this front with Deshaun Watson, I'll also throw this at you. People keep pointing back to there has to be something here because there's 22 allegations. I mean, that number, it's not one or two, it's 22.
Well, it's not 22, it's 50 some, right? Because that was one of the strange legal strategies. Initially, when this stuff broke, he said, "I'm innocent. I did nothing wrong." And then Rusty Harden, who should have just kept his mouth shut, said, "Well, no, we have 30 other women that are saying everything he does is consensual." So there's really like 50 plus women, right? That he's propositioned this way, allegedly, right? Because they're admitting 30 of them, like he does this to, right? Like he books massages and then propositions them and then has consensual encounters with. So just so you know, his defense is out of all these 50 women,
Right.
they're all lying. Everything was consensual, and this is his mo. But that's fine. It's perfectly normal or whatever. And so, I mean, take that with what you will, Steve. I don't know what else to tell you. I mean, it's to me, it's weird. I mean, to me, it's
Yeah.
just odd.
Adam Hill and I argued about this one today. I threw it out there that I don't believe the Browns made this deal without having a good amount of information on what Watson did or what he's really facing.
Yeah, I don't. So just so you know, just to be
Like,
clear,
hey,
I
grand
don't.
jury's done. Grand jury, no criminal charges. We're good to go.
Yeah, I don't think. And remember, I read the complaints early on this process. I don't think there was ever a ton of um, substance to the pleadings or to the lawsuits. I think it was always going to be he said, she said, right? And there were a couple allegations that were really bad, that he did do some things that were pretty grotesque. But outside of that, the rest of it was just like, well, this, you know, it was not as nefarious. So I don't think, yeah, I think this was a scumbag attorney guy that got wind of one thing and he chased down every single plaintiff he could possibly find and said, "Let me throw them into a lawsuit or file lawsuits so we can." I don't want to say extort money, but yeah, extract money from a high profile athlete. And that's not to say he's not culpable or he didn't do bad things, because I think he's creepy. I think there's enough there to say yes. I mean, dude's not normal. Uh, he's not operating under a normal mindset there. But I never thought that there was much from a legal standpoint that this Busby guy was going to be able to walk into court and go, "All right, let's drop the hammer. We're gonna kill this guy."
So when you say he's creepy, what's your reaction to the Browns over a week ago leaking out that they want an adult at quarterback? So that meant we don't want Baker Mayfield, and they turn around 3 days later and get Deshaun Watson. We want an adult.
Well, I mean, first off, how bad is Baker Mayfield? Like he is coming out looking terrible, right? Like now all of a sudden maybe Odell Beckham Jr. is the adult in the room. Maybe I don't I'm not sure. Um, Now actually Adam Hill, on this podcast, it said the reputation was he was a great guy, but he was a nerd. Right, he was nerdy. He didn't know how to approach women, and so this was his mo.
Yeah.
When this news story first broke, everybody rushed to his aid. All of his teammates rushed to his aid, saying everything else, this thing aside, as far as everything else goes, he's first class. Like, he's great. He works hard. He's a good person. So, um, so I don't know exactly how to process that. I think Baker Mayfield looks, you know, bad, because I mean, my problem with the Baker Mayfield thing was, I mean, what did Baker Mayfield do this year? I mean, he went out and played his butt off, hurt. I mean, he was really very badly hurt almost all year.
Mhm.
And they've said, because prior to the season, they said there's nothing we're going to do to get rid of him. And all he did was play hurt through the entire year. And so now they're saying, well, we're done with him. So what happened? And it seems like all those little, you know, things with Colin Cowherd that popped up, prior to, or him, the police footage of him, running from the cops or whatever, just seems like, that dude has an ego issue.
Slight ego issue.
Yeah.
One last one on the Browns and Deshaun. I've heard people say they're disappointed that the Browns didn't even care to reach out to Tony Busby to get information on the
Why?
cases. I heard a
Why?
retort to that by Doug Gottlieb on Fox Sports National saying, well, they wouldn't do that because that would violate attorney-client privilege.
Well, I mean, the notion that you would reach out to the plaintiff's attorney, particularly that guy, is laughable. Okay, I mean, that guy is not credible at all. So, I mean, what do you think you're really going to learn by reaching out to him? He's going to say bad things about Deshaun Watson. Period. Um, Tony Busby is not held in a high regard, from a public, standpoint. So, I mean, he's going to say that, yeah, Deshaun Watson's a bad guy and he assaulted 22 people. I mean, so far to this point, I promise you, Steve, if Tony Busby had smoking gun type evidence, it'd be out. We'd know about it. Period. Right? We haven't seen it. We just simply have not seen it.
All right. Good job. Anything else to close on?
No, that's it. Yeah, hopefully the dog's not out there tearing up the yard or whatever he's doing at 11 o'clock at night.
This is quite the life we've carved out for ourselves. I'm worried about my old lady cat peeing or dumping all over the couch she lives on.
She
I
lives
think
on a couch. That's all she does?
she just stays in one room because she's afraid of the young lady cat we have. And now apparently, as I said, we spent $1,000 to have a vet tell us that 1, she's old, 2, cats are crazy, 3, the cat is constipated.
So the cats don't get along?
You
have 2 cats and they don't?
We have 2 female cats and a male cat. The
Oh,
male
you have
cat
3 cats. Wow.
Yeah. The
That's
male cat gets along with everyone.
okay.
The
That's a
2
bit much,
females,
but
the
yeah.
old one and the young one. The old one doesn't get along with the young one. The young one just likes to attack her all the time, wants to play. So the old one does not like that. And as a result, she's now gone crazy and she won't leave the one room she lives in.
Now, by the way, I have 2 cats. You understand that, right? Like,
I didn't know that.
yeah, we have 2 Siamese cats. They're just one of them is
Not,
okay.
not friendly. They're
Well, the
Siamese.
one just hisses at me and is just mean. I mean, she's not mean.
Yeah.
She just hisses.
I don't understand why have cats like that.
Well, you don't get to control what they are. Like, what are we gonna do
Yes, you
now?
do.
What are we
I
gonna do?
think you
Kick them
do.
out the door?
Well, I don't agree with that. It's funny. My girlfriend and I talk about this all the time. I've never really had cats that were mean and assholes. I actually think cats can be trained. Although I will say there are certain.
You
There
can't
are
train this
certain.
cat, dude.
You know what? I actually
Can't
think
train
you
a cat.
can. I actually think you can.
No. No, and here's the funny thing. So I guess there's like a little sweet spot, like 3 or 4 hours a day where the cat's
Yeah.
actually nice.
Yeah.
But then the kids kick it out of the room. So your
Oh,
cat
okay.
hisses. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, Cofield. I don't understand why you have a cat like that. Well,
Yeah.
what the hell are you going to do when you get the cat and it turns out to be like that? I mean, what am I going to do? The daughters begged us for the cats. We got the cats. They're worthless. We're in charge. We're responsible for their lives now, dude. Like, I can't just, kill them.
Sir, your cat hisses. Well, time to
Yeah,
put it down.
yeah, time to put it down. Yeah, $1,000 for his constipation. You know, um,
I'm telling you between my parents' cats and the cats I've had recently, we've never had a cat that was poorly behaved or didn't like being around us. I think you can train them. I think you can.
You can't. I'm sorry.
Well, some of these cats suck. That's the problem. That is
Yeah,
one of the breeds that sucks ass.
yeah, that's true.
They're moody little pain in the asses.
They're good looking cats. So I'll give them that. They're good looking. And but here's the thing I was going with. So the one cat about 3 hours a day, it's like nice. It wants to like cuddle and things like that. Every single morning I get up. I get up early. I get up like 5 a.m. Right. That cat is like crying because the kids throw it out of the room. The only time it's nice and it cuddles, they kick it out. They're like, "I'm sleeping. Get it out of here. Get it out."
I wish Chris White, the cat dude, was here. You know what? I'll retract my initial statement and I'll restate it like this.
How are you going to train a cat?
This is what I'm going to say. If you get them young, I think if you get them young, you have a chance. If you get them when they're older, like I'm trying to think, we got the young lady cat when she was a kitten. We got our male cat when he was probably like 1.5, and he was actually a street cat. That's the other. We took in a feral male cat, and we were able to train it, but he had a pretty good attitude coming in. So
I actually had Clay Baker babysit a cat for me one time. I actually trained in Vegas
what?
a cat to pee on the toilet. Right?
No way.
Yeah. So he, I trained him. Oh God, where was I living out on Charleston? So Clay actually babysat the cat one time, and the cat would attack him. Just come out of nowhere and just like jump on him. But yeah, I actually had this one cat that I would trained to use the toilet, just like Meet the Parents. Remember the movie?
Yeah.
Like so, yeah. So, my Las Vegas cat, but may he rest in peace.
Well, I can't prove my point, but I am.
I just don't know how you're going to train a cat to not be a prick. I don't understand.
None of my 3 cats are not pricks.
I spend time with this cat. I try and pet it. I try and play with it. This cat won't even. It gets no pleasure out of life. It won't even eat a treat. We're like, okay, well, let's get it a treat, right? Like, okay,
let's treat it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't want treats. I don't want nothing. I enjoy nothing in life.
That sounds like that actually could be the Cofield and Company like show cat.
That's what I'm saying. It's like the Steve Cofield of the cat world.
It gets no pleasure. It gets no pleasure out of life. It doesn't even like treats. What kind of treat is this? Nah.
Yeah, no thanks.
It's the wrong kind of treat, jerk. Hiss. Yeah. Nice. All right. Well, we'll I think we're back next Wednesday. So we'll probably we'll get back on our regular schedule, and glad you did this tonight. Appreciate it. Glad all you guys watched. Thank you. I'll talk to you soon, Dan.
All right.
When are you up next on the air?
Actually, I am getting some primetime coverage next week, but I'll be on this weekend.
All right. What time?
Every Saturday, 11 to 2, and then every Sunday, the easy Sunday morning edition of the Dan Jacobs Show. Which, by the way, I kept wondering, how do I get Lionel Richie to do my liners, because that's what we call the show. Mm-hmm. And then I realized we have the biggest Lionel Richie station in our group, Cozy 101, which is the number one station in the market.
Oh wow.
They play more Lionel Richie than anybody probably on the planet. I'm like, I don't know. Can I meet that program director? Maybe he'd get me some liners. I don't know.
And what happened? Still a work.
Well, I haven't said. I got to send the email.
All right, well, that's a good idea. I'm glad you floated that by us.
It's Cofield. It's COVID, so we're not in the building. We don't get to meet anybody anymore. So
I get it.